Hello, hello, hello. Big Scary back again with another great show. Make sure you smash that like button or that subscribe button so you'll be notified when another amazing episode hits the YouTube. We've been gone for a little while. We've had some technical difficulties, malfunctions, whatever you want to call it. We're back, and it's finally our first episode of the year. A lot has happened in January and this first part of February, so we're gonna break down as much as we can. So let's see. First, I want to start with in MMA with let's see. The first fight was Holloway versus Qatar. That was on Fight Island, Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. So it was amazing. I mean, you knew it was going to be a good fight, and it lived up to expectations. I mean, definitely was more of a blowout than you would have expected. I didn't expect Max Holloway to look as amazing as he did, he just stepped his game up. You didn't know how he would come back after the two losses to Volkanovski for the title, but he came back and he looked amazing. Very crisp boxing. He had some very good leg kicks. It was just he just put it all together so nicely. I mean, the scores of 50-42, 50-43, and 50-43. So we had several 10-8 rounds. So I mean, about as much of a domination as you can have without there being a finish. So Volkanovski's about to fight Brian Ortega for the title. Anything's possible. Ortega's got some very slick ground game, but I feel like Volkanovski's just going to be a little bit too much for him. So, I mean, what else is there to see? We want to see Max Holloway versus Volkanovski for the title for the third time. I mean, that seems like the only thing you can do after the dominating performance by Max Holloway. Was the next event. This was also on Fight Island. Michael Chiesa against Neil Magny, and Michael Chiesa came out and made a statement. Anytime you get a win over Neil Magny, you know that's a very good victory. And Michael Chiesa just came out, implemented his ground game, and just kept it there and just dominated. So a nice win for Michael Chiesa in announcing his presence in the welterweight division. Let's see some of the lower card, the prelim fight. Khabib's little cousin Umar made his UFC debut against Sergey Morozov, and he had some nice stand up. Look more like Zabit. His stand-up, real flashy kicks, hook kicks, question mark kicks. I mean, he definitely flashier than Khabib and the rest of the Sambo guys. Definitely look forward to seeing more of him. He got a nice rear naked choke victory. And another prelim card fight, Mike Davis against Mason Jones, and there was a lot of hoopla for Mason Jones, but Mike Davis just came out, and he's a local guy from Central Florida. He came out and looked amazing. His striking is very good. I mean, he's got some pro boxing experience, so it shouldn't be too shocking how good his stand-up is, but it's just superb. Definitely can't wait to see more of Mike Davis. Let's see, UFC 257, McGregor versus Poirier, and Poirier came out and got his revenge. They had fought 6 years before, and McGregor was able to knock out Poirier in a minute and a half. This time, things turned out a lot different. First round, I would still probably give it to McGregor. He landed the better shots, the harder shots. But the thing that I noticed anyway was that the shots that he landed against Poirier in the first fight that he landed in this fight also, and they didn't have the same effect that they had. It's like McGregor normally has like supernatural power, and it's like he landed some of those same shots and was not able to get the response that he normally gets. So I kind of thought Poirier might be his day when those shots were landing and it wasn't affecting him. So he came out in the first round, landed some nice low leg kicks, calf kicks, and by the second round, you were starting to have damage on McGregor. It was starting to slow him down, and if his movement is everything. If he's unable to move, he's just turned into a sitting duck. And it was like once Poirier smelled blood in the water, he went in for the finish, and with the nice second round KO. They're talking about what's next. I would like to see a third fight between them because, McGregor usually, the way he came back against Nate Diaz in the rematch, I'd like to see what he can do in this rematch. After the way that they both were able to beat each other so decisively, a third fight, that'll be a big one. So definitely looking forward to that. The co-main of that card was Dan Hooker against Michael Chandler. This was Michael Chandler's UFC debut, and wow, did he make a statement. Came out there and he was just the aggressor. He didn't allow Dan Hooker to use his length or to allow him to really do anything. In the combination, he landed a nice body shot, a nice jab body shot, and then threw that overhand left, and it was just lights out. So nice win for Michael Chandler. He puts himself right into that UFC title picture, that lightweight title picture. That's always, it's the deepest division in the UFC, and it has been for a long time. So definitely eager to see what he has to offer. Then the next card this was finally back in the United States in Las Vegas at the Apex Center. Alistair Overeem was the headline against Alexander Volkov, and Volkov looked good. He just kept marching Overeem down, and Overeem landed some nice shots. He's a savvy veteran, but Volkov was his shots just had more power. They had more effect. It was just clear early on that he was probably going to finish Overeem, and second round he landed some nice shots, and it was over. Co-main, Corey Sandhagen against Frankie Edgar, and wow, what a finish for Corey Sandhagen. A flying knee that just completely flatlined Frankie Edgar. You don't see something like that happen to Frankie Edgar, so that was a very impressive win. So Corey Sandhagen is, he making a statement. He wants one of these next title shots coming up. So we'll see what Dana White decides. Next event coming up, UFC 258, Kamaru Usman against Gilbert Burns. They used to be teammates at Black Zillions, and so they both know each other's game. They have very similar styles. Ground heavy, but also with hard power shots. This should be a pretty interesting fight. I assume all the Just Bleed crowd isn't going to be the fight you're going to want to see. It's not going to. I doubt it's going to be all the just standing there banging. I doubt that's going to happen. It's going to be a well thought out, technical ground and stand up fight. And I got to go with Usman. I wouldn't be shocked if Gilbert Burns was able to pull it out, but Usman's just, he's looked pretty close to unbeatable lately. So I'm going to have to go with Usman if I had to pick. So that was the UFC MMA action. Let's see, we got NBA action so far. This year's been exciting. In the East, we've got Philadelphia followed first in the Eastern Conference, followed by Milwaukee and Brooklyn. Brooklyn making that huge trade for James Harden, and so far, it's paying dividends. Their defense is deplorable, but they've got one of the best offensive teams in NBA history. Between Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving, those are three amazing scorers. But you've got to play defense to actually win in the NBA. Unless you just want to be a Mike D'Antoni type team and and just score a bunch of points, and that's it. And it's interesting that Steve Nash is their coach, because his best years, his MVP years were under Coach Mike D'Antoni. So we'll see. I mean, you gotta play defense to win. Over in the West, Utah is a kind of a surprise this year, this far into the season, and they're in first, being followed by the Lakers and the Clippers. But yeah, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, they're just making a statement. They're playing very well right now, and they're not going anywhere. So I mean, this year's home court, it's important. I mean, so these early season games are important. Whoever wins is important, and Utah is making a statement. Let's see, in NCAA basketball, we have Gonzaga as the #1 team in the land, followed by Baylor. They're both undefeated. This is shaping up to be an interesting college basketball year. I can't wait for March Madness. Got to say, I don't know that my boys, the Tar Heels, are gonna do that much. All of them and the rest of the Blue Bloods, the Duke and Kentucky, just not even in the top 25. This is a very strange year. So we'll see. Might get a real shocking win in March Madness. Who knows who's going to win? I mean, hell, if Gonzaga or Baylor becomes the national championship, that would be pretty surprising. Even though they're both undefeated, you don't expect them to win before the season. But can't wait to see it. In NFL action, we just had the Super Bowl, and it was definitely. It wasn't as close a game as I thought it'd be, but it was. I mean, if you're a fan of the NFL, you had to like the game. But before that, we had the NFC Championship with the Bucks over the Packers, 31-26. Aaron Rodgers had the opportunity to go back to the Super Bowl for only the second time in his career, and he was unable to step up. Tom Brady, I mean, his team, he had good weapons, and he had a good defense, and he was just able to bring it home. Aaron Rodgers kind of choked at the end, and so the Bucks went, and they won, and they went to the Super Bowl. So then the AFC Championship was the Chiefs against the Bills, and the Chiefs were able to win 38-24. Josh Allen, the moment was just a little bit too big for him. The Chiefs their offense was incredible. Pat Mahomes, I mean, played great, and it's just the Chiefs were just one step ahead of the Bills all night long, and so that brought us to our Super Bowl, and with the final score being the Bucks 31, the Chiefs 9. Tom Brady getting his 7th Super Bowl victory, his fourth MVP. Who else? Pat Mahomes had 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So possibly his worst NFL game came in one of the biggest moments in his 2nd Super Bowl. So we'll have to wait to see him get more. We'll see if he'll be able to step up the way he has every other season. Who else? Gronk had 2 touchdowns. AB had a touchdown. Leonard Fournette had a touchdown on the ground and had some decent receptions out of the backfield. He'd stepped up big time. The ex-Jaguar running back who was cut, and then they were able to. Yeah, the Bucks were able to pick him up for a steal. So that was another Super Bowl for an ex-Jag. So I guess they got to get him somehow. But that was a very nice victory for Tom Brady. So I mean, his baseball or his football cards have been skyrocketing, doubling overnight. A lot of them, the way these with this seventh win. So it was good. So let's see, what other news do we got to cover? Oh yeah, okay, I guess that's enough sports news. But so how can we not cover the insurrection in the Capitol? That was at the very beginning of the year, January 6th, and I mean, if you would have been watching from another country, you would have been like, what has happened to the United States? I mean, there's like a literal coup was taking place. They were storming the Capitol. I mean, when's the last time that the Capitol had fallen? I mean, it didn't fall, but the last time it had been invaded like that was like the 1800s. So it was very crazy to watch. And then you had people like it was organized by Alex Jones, who, I mean, the guy is a nut. He's every conspiracy theory, he's behind it, or he believes in it, and the guy's nuts. But there was also, I mean, there were senators who were supporting this. Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, who's it? Marjorie Taylor Greene, this QAnon nut is I mean, promoting all this stuff, and it's, I mean, where are we going from here? It's like, I mean, you literally have, I mean, not even half the country, but a quarter of the country who were in support of it. I mean, they felt like that their vote was stolen, and I mean, even though there's been no evidence of voter fraud in any way, even though it's, I mean, and the judges who were over these cases were Trump appointees. So, I mean, clearly he assumed that they were going to be side with him, but they didn't. So, I mean, there's been no legal evidence that supports anything that they're saying. So, I mean, we're going to see where that goes, but at the same, I mean, we're looking at Trump's second impeachment, and it's, so far it has been, what would you expect? I mean, Trump has a way of finding the most incompetent people imaginable to be his attorneys. I mean, yeah, Rudy Giuliani. I mean, but the impeachment lawyer, this Bruce Castro, this guy. I mean, yeah, I don't. I mean, I guess it's hard. It's hard to find an attorney when they know that you're probably not going to pay them, and then they're probably going to look like imbeciles. So it's kind of hard for people to decide to defend you when, yeah, it's not. It's a no-win situation. I mean, the only thing you're going to win is support of the Trump base, and that doesn't pay the bills. And I guess it possibly could in the long run if you kept doing GoFundMes, and I guess it'd be the same thing as they did with the wall, but that's, yeah, it's going nowhere fast. So, but is he really going to be impeached? Probably not. I mean, is he going to be convicted or whatever? I mean, probably not, because there's not enough Republican senators who are actually going to go with it. So it is what it is. But, well, so that's the start of the year. We're definitely I'm going to be coming to you a lot more frequently. And so, yeah, you can find us on YouTube, on Trauma Television on Facebook, because it's a Trauma Television production, on Big Scary on Facebook, and on Big Scary on Twitter. And as Martin Luther King said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice.